How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another Big Gold Belt Media review. This time, it's Legion of Superheroes, the latest DC Universe movie coming to digital, 4K, Ultra HD, Blu-ray combo pack, and regular old Blu-ray on February 7th, 2023 from Warner Brothers Discovery Home Entertainment. With you, as always, is Damian G. The G stands for none of your gosh darn business. And with me, I have the pleasure of having a fellow native New Yorker joining me on screen, the Gotham Geek Girl. How are you doing?
Chilling, good. How's it going?
You
Cold
know,
as
it's
hell
cold.
today.
Okay, so for those that don't know, even though I'm a native New Yorker, born and raised, I currently reside in Dallas, Texas. So we had winter weather, which is about 7 days worth of 15 degrees, 20 degrees, and whatnot. So I understand your pain because my sister-in-law told me it was 15 degrees today. So sorry.
Yeah, today was a movie day. Not going nowhere. PlayStation and movies.
Oh, and we watched the movie.
Oh
At
yeah.
least I think
I
that was a
think.
movie. The Legion of Superheroes. If you followed the previous one on Kids WB, that's what I was hoping I would see. Being honest, this is a non-spoiler review, so we're not going to ruin too much of the plot. But one thing we both agree on: we both fell asleep at multiple points of this movie. Let them know what your first thoughts were of this movie.
So right off the bat, when I saw the animation, I knew that this was a movie that I'm gonna have to try to be a little like objective with.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that it's probably geared towards a younger audience.
Correct.
And I definitely got that watching this movie. I was like, it's not for everyone, so I'll throw that out there right away. For me, I'm a huge fan of the DC animated movies,
Yes.
and I don't know, the last few ones haven't really been like knocking it out the park for me. I did love Super Sons, but even
Mm.
that felt a little more adultish than this did. It felt very teeny, like teenage boppy, like I'm a girl, look at me, like very like I don't know, a lot of
Very high school.
yeah.
Typical high school nonsense like we used to see in those teenage movies, where it's just a massive teenage angst and people trying to overcome emotions and this, that, and the third while navigating life. That's what I got out of it. And if you're not a fan of the Archer animation style, you're not gonna like this because that's the first thing I noticed. And the second thing I noticed, Supergirl has rosy cheeks the entire movie. It was pissing me off. I don't know why. In my notes, I said, I don't know why I'm pissed about this, but it pissed me off. But the story evolves. We thought about Superman and Supergirl. We see the fall of Krypton. That's not really a spoiler. Everybody knows it's dead. And we see how she navigates not just living in the normal world, but also in the future. As if you follow again the Legion of Superheroes, it takes place in the future of the DC animated universe. And she got accepted to basically superhero high school, where she's part of the non-cool kids, from what I established. It's the rejects, the second B team, C team. And we get a couple of introductions. There's Bouncing Boy, Saturn, there's referencing Saturn Girl, Triplicate Girl, and then one really annoying Kryptonian fanboy who I believe he was voiced by Yuri Lowenthal, and I think you can correct me if I'm wrong. But
Mon-El?
yes, Mon-El. I could not stand him for the life of me.
Nope.
Honestly, this whole movie, if I call it that again, was just so cut and paste, but at the same time disjointed. Because we have random cameos from Solomon Grundy, we got random cameos from The Flash, and then the entire Legion of Superheroes, and it focuses on two people: Supergirl, Brainiac 5, not to be confused with Brainiac 1, Brainiac 5, and if you follow, again, the former cartoon, they're a thing even in that cartoon. So we watch them come together. Boy meets alien, alien doesn't like other alien, they one up each other. It's like anything you can do, I can do better. And then we go from there, very cookie cutter. So about the main plot, it circles around something called the Circle, and they're talking about continuous circles, and it's a very shadowy organization akin to, let's say, the Foot Clan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles meets the Light from Young Justice. And that's the main villains of this movie. And you don't really know what's going on until maybe what, halfway through the movie, and then 3/4 of the movie we see who the bad guys are, and that left me really annoyed.
It was
Aside from just
highly
irritating.
predictable.
Yes.
Even though I knocked out, I was like, this is gonna happen, and B, this is gonna happen, and both things happened. Because like a character basically says a comment where I'm like, you just
Ding.
met Shorty. Like,
Like a lot of big moments went off in my head of, okay, I see this. Okay, that's where they're going with this. And it's paint by numbers. And you don't see that with the DC animated universe. You rarely see paint by numbers storytelling. Whereas, as you said, the last few, they haven't knocked it out the park, but it's always been compelling stories. This was not compelling. And to your point, this ain't made for me. I don't know if it was made for the teeny boppers out there or the 8-year-olds, but it damn sure wasn't made for me. So what are your overall thoughts beside we fell asleep?
so, especially like coming off the bat of like all the James Gunn announcements, I was trying to think future wise, like with Supergirl, with the route that they're gonna go with like Tom King. I was kind of hoping not to say dark. People always think just because I like Henry Cavill and like Snyder that I like dark. I like storytelling that has like a purpose and doesn't always feel like campy, because sometimes going through something tragic is what adds to your character's character development. It's what builds you. So for me with this movie, it's basically in the synopsis, her losing her family in Krypton. This is common sense for anyone that knows DC Comics, but like her losing her entire family and coming and being like an alien on Earth and like also being a teenager, but she went through something extremely tragic. She's completely alone. And for me, it just felt too like we said, like high school-y. Like she just lost everything. She lost her life. Not that she has to be completely dark and emo, but it just felt too like, oh, there's a cute boy. Oh, no. Like, oh, I'm Supergirl. Like, it was like, she just went through the freaking like darkest tragic shit. And she's like too happy. And like, even if this is going to be geared towards like a teenage audience, there should still be some kind of like controversy and like something. I didn't get any like
there should have been some more oomph to this, and I feel it's insulting to the audience to leave it to, it's like Clueless for superheroes. And
Absolutely.
it just irked me that I felt as if I was being insulted, and maybe I'm just being the crotchety old man. That's fine. It's not meant for me, but the overall character development, you're right. I feel as if Kara went through the 5 stages of grief in the span of a minute and a half, and then she got over it because she saw a cute boy. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. That's
way to
always
make
my
a powerful
problem.
lead.
Like, being a female, I was like, I prefer to watch things like Atomic Blonde.
Yes.
Where like, they always bring that up because it's one of my favorites. Like a woman that can kick ass without being like, I'm a woman. Like, I'm Supergirl. Like, watch me. Let me like kick ass and do it.
You're absolutely right. And I get the message they might have been going for to inspire young girls and 7 or 8-year-olds, but we cut to the post-credit scene in this movie, and this is alluding to something else down the road, like most DC animated movies that are kind of linked together. But you bring up the Gunverse. How does this all fit in his grand vision for the DC AU? So I don't know if it's going to leave us on a cliffhanger, if it's going to be one of those things that they're going to flesh it out a little bit more. But overall, it was just an odd spectacle for me to view as someone who's been reading comics and watching comic movies pretty much since I was 5 years old. And it just left a weird taste in my mouth. Of course, there's got to be a Batman appearance because WB, it's got to be Batman. But Batman didn't need to be here.
I was just gonna say this was such a waste of such talent. Like I love Jensen Ackles as Batman, and like it did one of those things where it brings characters together for no purpose. Like I feel like this was one of my issues with the CW. They all get together for like a C-level villain. Why are they all here for Solomon Grundy? Why did the Flash appear like, oh, I'm here, like just to make a cameo? Like this was a waste of, like I said, like having like Jensen Ackles in the movie as Batman for him to be there for like 2 seconds.
Right. I'd be interested to see what would be on the cutting room floor if this is the final cut that we got, because some of it seemed very disjointed until we get to that post-credit scene. Because while I'm watching, I'm thinking, what happened to that secondary plot that they teased at the beginning of the movie or the first third of the movie, and they never reference it again? So I'm over here between naps, scratching my head thinking they're not going to leave it like that. But then there was a post-credit scene, which I said before, potentially may lead to something else. So let's shift away from the overall movie and give me some points about the movie that you actually enjoyed.
I was gonna say one thing that I did like was that it showed vulnerability, because being that they are young, they can't be perfect. And also when you're dealing with people like characters like Superman, you have to write them in a way that's interesting, where they're not like unstoppable, like where they always win. You have to have some kind of dilemma, and I guess they did a good job with that in a sense, especially with all of them being like teenagers in school. Like a lot of them like messed up and had to kind of like, without giving away spoilers, work together as a team, which is the whole point of this. Right. Work together as a team and like use their different like abilities together to try to overcome this. I don't want to say who it is either, who I guess like the egos have to work together, even with the villains.
Pretty much, when you have to put your ego aside, and if you're a fan of, like we said, cut by numbers or cut and paste and paint by numbers, there was a montage. At some point during this movie, you will see them all band together in montage form to elicit their foolproof plan, as it were. Something I enjoyed, there was an ode to Tetris at some point in this movie, and I kept hearing the theme song to Tetris in my head while that was going on, and that should tell you right there about this movie. If I'm thinking one of the best parts is a Tetris reference, that should tell you about my overall thoughts of this movie. And again, I have to say, Legion of Superheroes, that's on my bottom third of DC movies. Even if I include the Snyderverse, if I include the Snyder, everything with the mood, and yeah, it's at the bottom of the barrel for me. I may be wrong. Generic villains aside, there was nothing really redeeming. I remember Supergirl's arc in not Young Justice, in Justice League. That was more interesting, which I thought they were going to go for. No, or at least maybe even Crisis on Infinite Earths. No, we didn't even get that. So if I had to give it a grade, I hate doing grades, but I'm going to give it a D-. And there goes my earplugs. A D-, because I'm that annoyed by this movie, and I fell asleep 2 to 3 separate occasions. What about you?
I agree with the D grade. And like I said, I try like not to have a bias when it comes to like Supergirl, but this wasn't it.
like you said, I'm Supergirl.
What was the run? They actually did the animated movie based off Michael Turner's. Oh man, it's gonna bother me now.
I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, I'll have to pull it up. Oh wait. This one right here. Superman, Batman. This was so much better.
Oh, Superman, Batman, Apocalypse?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was way
thank
better.
You. I was thinking the same thing.
I was
thinking,
trying to remember which one it was.
And I thought about
Classic.
that movie because remember when that movie came out, it was a little misleading because we have Supergirl as the main protagonist after a while, just using Superman and Batman to draw you in. No, again, just no. I think this failed on a lot of counts. I thought the acting was a little stiff. The voiceover acting was a little stiff in my opinion. Aside from the Jensen Ackles appearance as Batman, no one really stood out to me. I know you had the actors listed, but for me personally, just nothing clicked in this movie, and I'm glad it was over.
Yeah, like it was very like, yes, I understand they're teenagers, but there were some parts where it was like, what was it? They were cheering like fight, fight, fight. Like that scene just felt so forced. Like so forced. I was like, this is cringe.
Reminded me of 4th grade where everybody's just, yelling at lunchtime about getting on fight in the schoolyard in New York City. That's exactly what that reminded me of. And I just couldn't do it. Again, I say clueless for superheroes. And I think that is a perfect example. Any other final thoughts?
I was gonna say, because there have been like so many like iterations on like different characters that were involved with Legion of Superheroes. I want to just point out like some of the characters.
Sure.
Some of them kind of felt wasted. Though what I do appreciate is that they tried to bring some characters that non-comic readers may not be familiar with. Because say like Dawnstar, Timberwolf, I don't think they've been in any other
I've
of
never seen
the
Timberwolf
animated.
before this.
Yeah, so that I give them props to. And they did kind of change some of the characters, like appearances and costumes and
You mean he
relationships.
wasn't supposed to look like Wolverine?
Yeah, like their relationships and like their ages and stuff a bit. Cause who's the one that dates somebody? But yeah, just a lot of it felt like, I don't know. Like I appreciate that they try to bring these characters on, but also they didn't do a good job of making us interested in them enough.
Right. There wasn't enough meat. It was just a lot of fluff.
Like it's just, let's see how many people we could throw in this movie.
It reminded me of Mortal Kombat 2 way back in the day when they just threw everybody in the movie just for fan service. And I don't think the Legion of Superheroes has a big enough fan base to pay that much homage to fan service where, like you said, a non-comic reader is thinking, who? What? Looking just perplexed and confused while watching this movie, which is probably why they incorporated Superman, Batman, and the like to kind of draw viewers in to this shared universe between the main Justice League and the Legion. Overall, like we said, D grade, D minus, and a D. Let us know what you think in the comments here at Big Gold Belt Media. We might be wrong. Let us know. I always love a debate. And again, Legion of Superheroes releases on the 7th on Blu-ray, regular Blu-ray, 4K, Ultra HD, digital, and universal. Oh, Jesus Christ. There's so many things to release it on, and I don't even like any of them. But again, it releases on February 7, 2023 from Warner Brothers and Discovery Home Entertainment. Next time, put Shaggy in, and then maybe I'll be interested. You can find me at Damien G Show across the board, and you can find Gotham Geek Girl at
GothamGeekGirl.com, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Well, all the kids use.
Well, all the kids using us, old folks, we're a little too old for some of those things. So remember, kids, just because you have an intellectual property does not mean you need to do it over and over again just to appease a minor fan base. We'll catch you next time, Big Gold Belt Media.